overly concerned about that. Okay. Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to a special episode of what we are calling Mike's Magnificent Murder Mystery. Ooh. So,
Ah,
thank you. I appreciate that. Always good to make it a team of effort.
Zach, I hope you remember that from Yagu.
Special.
That's been. Wow. Wow, that's a reach back. Well done. For tonight's adventure, we only have two of our local normal compatriots here, as well, three of us, I guess. I suppose I could include myself in this. So we're going to be doing a murder most odd, and our two compatriots here, Jeff and Zach, will be playing the ever interesting roles of Herlock Sholmes, an entirely made-up character. No copyright concerns whatsoever.
None.
A halfling wizard who just happens to be, into investigating things, and Watson, a half-orc cleric.
Wait, how do you say his name?
Watson?
Oh, Watson with a V. I thought so.
Yes, Watson. So, with that, our two compatriots who have known each other for a very long time and have been sort of at this amateur sleuthing business for a little while, are actually away from their normal home. They are traveling. They are out on, basically, they're going from one adventure to another, and then they find themselves in, where else? A tavern. We find our two compatriots sitting at a table. It's about evening time frame. We're in the simple little town of Quaint. A quaint little town of Quaint.
And what is the phase of the moon?
It is a waning gibbous. And they are currently they have their meals in front of them, beers or whatever their respective drinks are, basically, while sitting at a table in a tavern called the Howling Dog. It is what you can imagine is a stereotypical tavern of just a wide area of round tables. The two of you are by yourselves. The place is about medium full, probably about 20 patrons in total, with basically with a bard playing some rather slow music as the evening has winded down. The fire on the hearth is starting to go down a little bit. And the town you're in isn't like a significantly large establishment, but it does have its own Temple of Tyr, and yeah, basically just like a small constabulary of paladins. With that, do you two have any other questions about the setting before the night goes on? Or anything about your character sheets, come to think of it.
So we're in a stereotypical tavern. Like, pretty normal fantasy setting is what you're getting at. Right?
There's nothing overly out of the ordinary about this particular tavern at the moment. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns before we get into the things?
How about patrons? Does anybody stand out?
No. This is simply like a stop on your way. Like this has happened. This town literally just happened to be like on your way, basically trying to get back home after trying to do this sort of investigation of a stolen artifact in a town about 3 days' journey from home. So you're like halfway home, and this is just a little quaint town you haven't spent much time in that you're staying in overnight.
So that artifact that's already dead. We figured that out.
Yep, that's all resolved. That's done with. That's just, yeah. You two are trying to slowly build your reputation as people that get jobs done.
Well, Watson, they won't be calling us half-wits again. Am I right?
No, they won't be calling us half-wits. Very nice to meet you.
Yes, we'll have coffee, and don't worry, we brought our own half and half.
So, I believe it was you, Watson, who was looking for. Oh my gosh.
That's what they call a monk's stunning fist right there.
Ah,
It's a delayed action.
this is. I'm glad this is already off to a fantastic start. Um, so, um, Watson, was it you that was asking, looking around to see if there's anybody peculiar looking?
Is there anybody peculiar?
Um, as you look around, a man in very priestly-looking robes comes, sort of briskly walking into the establishment, just very like with a very like distressed look on his face, almost like he looks just like a little bit pale. Um, he walks straight up to the bartender. They look. It's obvious that they can bring up. They have a few words. Um, the bartender points to the two of you, and then you see like the man in the priestly robe sort of bow a thank you, come over, and it says walks over and sort of just comes up to the table and is like, excuse me, are you two are you two the traveling adventurer types?
I would throw out an accusation like that, completely unprovoked.
Um, you you
I put my hand on Herlock's. Yes. Maybe be of service to you.
yes. Well, the thing is, and he sits down at the table, kind of looking around the space, clearly a little jittery. So it's we've got a bit of a situation over at the temple that would very much appreciate the expertise of folks that maybe are a little more worldly than myself. You would be handsomely rewarded if you wouldn't mind taking a look-see.
Uh,
Hmm. What if we say no?
But that's 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 great. Fantastic. Please, if you wouldn't mind, follow me.
He doesn't seem to take no for an answer.
Oh, I thought. Did you not agree? Did I misunderstand that?
I said, what if we say no?
Oh, I misheard you. I
Yeah.
thought I heard. How can we say no? What if we say no? Well.
one shot over. Good night, guys.
I know, right?
And the two carried on their way in good health and spirits.
Well, so allow me to. I apologize. I realize I've been a little informal. I am a priest of Tyr. My name is Sten, the local priest here. And what I would really appreciate your help with is trying to solve a double homicide.
Probably the same.
Are we sitting on the bar stools or are we standing? What are we doing right now?
You're sitting around a table, is where I have you.
Okay. I'm still gonna kind of reach up and slap Watson on the back. And be like, huh, well, you should have said so at the beginning. This is exactly what Half and Half Incorporated specialize in.
Half and half.
Yeah, that's well, perfect.
You know what they say: 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 2 halves just might make you whole.
Is that a thing that they say?
That is what they say. You're speaking for the right 2 fellas.
Okay, I appreciate that. Glad to hear. Well then,
3 left.
That Watson, he sure is observant.
So you'll take the case then? Yes.
We'll consider it. How about you show us what's going on here first? But we don't guarantee our work. We just follow the evidence.
I mean, I suppose that's all I can ask of you. How about?
Of course.
You can? Well, okay.
Well, you could start by taking care of our tab right here. That would be wonderful. It's been a long journey from other business beforehand, and
if you agree to
call it a show.
If you agree to do this, I can give you 150 gold now and 150 gold when we're done.
Your head snaps up when I look at Herlock. Yeah.
At which point,
Fine, very well, very well. And I'll spit in my hand as if to shake, but then I'll cast Prestidigitation to clean it up anyway, and then shake.
oh, wonderful. Yes, about the tab. I can
Put my hand in
absolutely.
it, actually just wait for this to shake.
Thank
A
you.
big Lugia. And then
Oh, no. You know what? I take that back. I'm going to cast Mage Hand and have the Mage Hand shake his hand. 'Cause that's my... Yes, I just realized I have that spell.
Yes, you're both gonna want to know what spells you have. Just
And also, another little retcon thing. Anytime that I show surprise or confusion or anything that can be represented with modern punctuation, I use Minor Illusion to cast that. Because like I'm not your
question mark,
typical reserve.
period,
Yeah,
exclamation
yeah,
point, semicolon.
yes. Ampersand. If I say something boisterous and someone's trying to come at me, then I put up.
That's fantastic.
can you also prestidigitate the noise from Metal Gear?
Surprise the It just, I mean,
Basically.
that's the sort of thing that, like, over time is just turned into a nervous habit where, like, you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just surprised and you immediately cast the exclamation point.
Yeah. This is why Watson says I shouldn't be playing the cards, because, you know.
Broadcasting. Oh, fantastic.
We should know our spells.
I would suggest going just looking at the list. It shouldn't be too extensive. And if there's any you're unfamiliar with, let me know. I tried to design you two character spells that would be helpful for what you would think your characters would do. And yeah, we open the discussions on that as we move forward. So with that, Sten, the priest, gets up, moves over to the heads over to the bar, the bartender. Basically, you see him exchange a few coins. She nods, sort of smiles and gives a little salute to you two, and then Sten sort of ushers you to follow him out of the tavern. I assume you two follow.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Or I do.
Let's see. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Am I missing anything here? No. Okay. Deal with that later. Okay. So he leads you through between a couple of houses, and then I mean it's a building that you would have noticed walking in, but may not have paid much attention to. The Temple of Tyr what he leads you to is a 2-floor square-shaped stone building with only the one entrance that's like a large archway wooden door. He moves himself straight through, basically ushering you in. Inside the temple's main floor is a space for worship where you've got a large altar near the back with like walls and pews lining space before it. There is on the side of the back wall is a doorway that leads to sleeping chambers, and on the opposite end is a stairwell leading up. He makes a beeline straight for that stairwell. So like there's a couple of worshippers that are just sort of sitting silently in the pews, but he makes and like sort of like making sure to keep an eye on you. That it's you two. I assume you two are keeping up.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we're at the crime scene and this isn't our first rodeo, as soon as we get nearby, I'm not stopping to look at anything, but I'm kind of giving everything the once over. Does anything kind of look out of place or along those lines?
Okay. Nothing seems to be out of the ordinary on this floor. But he's, as I said, he ushers you up the stairs. So again, square building. You sort of move to the back of it. You go up a flight of stairs, and you're basically turned around, pointing back toward the entrance on the second floor. Up there is a small hallway leading back towards the front of the building. Like I just said, along this hallway is a doorway leading to. You see 2 doorways, and then at the end of the hall is a steel doorway that is guarded by what look like 2 priestly-looking knightly fellows.
All right, brave paladins, you've done your task. Let the professionals through.
Excuse me. What the larger and like the more decorative one of the 2 of them is like, excuse me. Oh, Sten, did you find? Stan, did you find? Yes, yes. These are the two. Gentlemen, this is Vincent, our lead, um, the lead paladin who's been in charge of sort of keeping watch on our two, um, well, victims at this point, I suppose.
As soon as he's introduced Mage Hand at his level, his like a normal human level, to shake, so that way I'm not reaching up.
uh,
My arms are behind my back, like a very professorial. Yes.
okay, so I suppose, and then Stan at this point, like Vincent, like shakes her hand, like thanks, I guess. All right, so I guess you two, he kind of gives Stan the priest the side eye, the paladin does, and then sort of steps aside. And it's like, all right, I suppose you'll want to take a look. And he sort of turns, grabs a key, unlocks the door, um, and then opens it and sort of beckons you inside. Let's see. So, I assume you two go in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you walk in, it's a single jail cell with a, or it's sorry, it's a single jail cell in the room with a single window that's inaccessible, that's like too high basically to reach. What you see immediately on the ground is what looks like a mummified body on one side that like looks almost somewhat preserved but like shriveled.
Is it wrapped in bandages or is it
No,
desiccated?
no, desiccated would be more the accurate
Okay.
description. It looks shriveled or even mummified, shrunken eyes, leathery skin is on one body, and then the other one looks like it's just collapsed but sopping wet.
Does it also look like at one point it was desiccated and then?
No, no, it just looks like somebody's perspired. It looks like somebody's perspired with like life out of their eyes, but they're completely wet. Like it looks like somebody dumped a bucket of water on them.
Dry dead and a wet dead.
As soon as as soon as Watson starts to move forward and look, I'm going to ritually cast Detect Magic so I can figure out what's going on in this situation.
Okay.
This seems to be oddly supernatural already, you know, especially in a place like this. So
Let's see. Hold on. Ooh, what are we rolling? Oh, you're just showing me detect magic. Yep. Hold on. So I mean, that casting it as a ritual is going to take you um, time. So
usually it's like 10 minutes, isn't it?
yeah, it is. So Herlock is in the process of casting this ritual. Watson, are you doing anything while he's doing this?
Yeah, I'm exploring these bodies. I want to see if there are any wounds. Can I tell how they have been
Okay, so which body are you looking
dispatched?
at?
I'm going to start with the dry one.
The dry one. Okay.
And what briefly, what was the other one again? There's the dry desiccated one,
There's the
and then
dry desiccated
another.
one and the one that's just like that looks like completely shriveled and almost mummified, like just with the way the skin's like sucked in, and then the other one just looks sort of gasping and wide-eyed but covered in water. Okay.
Water.
Does they look like they got splashed, or are they swollen?
Um, it looks like they're just covered in water. So
Water.
okay,
Huh.
you're looking at you said you're looking at the dry body.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the dry body and try to figure out the way it died.
Okay.
Look for any signs
Do me
of
and
wounds
that
or...
all right. So you're trying to figure out how they died. Do a medicine check for me.
Ooh, all right.
Okay, so Watson, being the medically trained person of the two of you, sort of takes a gander, and so you are able to figure out that the dry body has no wounds on it. Like you're examining, looking around, like there's no punctures, there's no scratches, there's no bludgeoning. But you also realize um, that there's no fluid in her body either. Oh, it is sorry, female. I should have mentioned the dry one is a female, and the wet one is a male dwarf. I didn't specify that earlier. I realized.
So a human female
Human
is the
female,
dry one.
yeah, is the dry one, and a male dwarf body is the wet one. So yeah, you've determined that. So yeah, Watson, you have determined that there's no wounds anywhere, but there also seems like all of the fluid appears to be drained out of this person. And you do have Sten and Vincent sort of standing at the doorway. Sten's sort of like tapping his foot while you're doing this examination. So I'm going to say that takes about. I mean, going over a body is a bit time consuming, and it took you some time. So at this point,
Do I see any point of draw? Like, do I see that there are even small puncture wounds to see if blood has been drawn, or does it look like it's been magically removed? And I'm gonna look over at Herlock for that part.
So okay, do an let's see. Your roll an investigation for me.
Can I, prior to that,
Yeah.
can I cast guidance on myself?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
I will do so.
Giving you a D4. Yep, you can do that.
Yep, maybe D4 there. And what did you ask me to roll?
Investigation. Because you said you're looking to try to see like where the body point's coming from. Okay.
D4?
D4. A 9. Okay. Nothing through your checking the body, like you don't see any one specific point of removal, I guess, or like it doesn't seem like the water all came out of one specific place, or the fluids, I should say. You do me. Let's see. Are you still looking around? Okay. So with that, where's?
I will also cast guidance on Herlock.
Got it. Yep. Okay. Let's see.
Well, instead, I will break my concentration and just a cantrip.
So okay. Herlock, once you've finished the ritual, there is very clearly a circle that looks like it was drawn around, or you see a magical, like what appears to be a circle of magic that appears to come from the transmutation school around the woman's body, the one that Watson is investigating.
So I can only see that because of the detect magic. It's not something that's visually obvious, right?
So are you looking closer at the circle?
I am.
Okay. Where's?
Well, let me be specific.
Yes.
Well, this is what I want to do is if I can get a closer look or even just actually looking, like as in the shifting of my eyes rather than getting up close to it and seeing, putting my nose in it. I want to try to get a better look at it. But I'm itching to use detect thoughts at the right moment so I can kind of figure out what's going on with these two here, because you said one of them's tapping his foot, and being Herlock Sholmes,
You notice everything.
There's certain maxims that apply. So, yes, I want a closer look, but not if it means I have to step forward or in any kind of obvious manner look at something that isn't visibly there.
Okay. So. Okay. So all right, you're looking for a moment to sort of cast detect thoughts. Got it. Can you throw that in chat for me? I'm just curious if it has a verbal or a somatic component.
All of them.
Verbal, somatic, and material. You have to pull out a copper piece. Okay. Okay. Looking for a moment to do that. Got it. So the you see this ring around the dried body, but what it makes you as your eyes sort of now know where to focus, you realize that there's also like traces, like parts of the circle, look like they are drawn from blood, like it's blood that was used to draw the circle.
So drawn blood was used to make the circle.
Yes.
Can you put that in chat? So I was in the middle of reading Detect Thoughts myself. I didn't realize there was so much to it. Well, there's a lot of mechanics going on there. It's not just tell me what it's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to see that as well? Like, is that a
Well, the moment that the moment that Herlock looks like sort of looks, he sees the moment he looks at the circle and sort of like you see him focusing and like pointing it out. You would look and like now that you know to look there, you see that there's also the blood. Sort of like you see like what looks like sort of like a dotted parts and pieces of what looks like a leftover, like a circle that looks like parts of it were washed away, basically. That out of blood.
blood circle? Hmm.
Does he say that out loud?
I'm assuming he says. I'm assuming that's in. I'm assuming that
Yeah,
is in
I say
character.
that. I don't say it loudly, but I do say it audibly, like as I'm saying it to
Perfect.
Sherlock.
What's that? Blood circle? And as I say blood circle, now I'm kind of getting a little crafty. And I'm saying it, but I'm kind of looking over at the two guards, especially the one that was tapping his foot. And I'm waiting for them to shift their attention towards Watson and the blood circle that he's looking at. So then I can hopefully do a little for detect thoughts, and they don't see that right away.
Okay. So, Sten, the priest, is the person whose foot's tapping. The one that brought you here, and then you've got Vincent, which is the other, who's the paladin that's sort of along for the ride, or he was the guard that was standing outside. So you want to cast, so you're trying to cast detect thoughts on Sten, the priest.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to cast it and concentrate on it, and then I can change my focus between either one. Right.
Okay.
So I guess what the first thing I'm going to do is surface thoughts of Sten, and then the surface thoughts of the other one, and then I'm going to jump back to Sten and either try to probe deeper or maybe even say something else to like it actually says it right in here, which makes sense. Questions verbally directed at the target creature naturally shape the course of its thoughts, so this spell is particularly effective as part of an interrogation.
Okay, so the surface thoughts you're getting from Sten, the priest, is like mostly just like a sense of like overwhelmed, like never deal with two homicides at the same time. This is ridiculous. Why are we?
It's the other one thinking. As soon as that comes up,
Say again. Are you trying to?
I'm switching.
Okay. All right.
So I've read his surface thoughts. I'm pinging to the other one.
Got
But
it.
I think it's once I try to probe deeper, then
Yes.
they have to roll
That's
a
roll
corresponding wisdom save.
Let's see. Vincent. So the thought that you get off of Vincent's surface thoughts is annoyance. Essentially from it, the sense you get is that he's annoyed at Sten that help has been brought in and that he can't handle it. That's what you get off of his surface thoughts. It's just annoyance more than is the dominant like thought or feeling that you got getting off of him.
Okay. That's still. That's slightly more curious than Sten. So I want to. Here's what I want to know. With the tech thoughts, if I try to probe deeper,
They're gonna know no matter what happens.
they're going to know that I'm probing deeper than that. If I could. Okay, so right now they don't know, but if I try to dig, then they will know no matter what.
Correct. It's just whether or not they succeed or fail determines whether or not you learn something.
So if you were to succeed, if you don't know, now you know.
So, like, if you probe deeper, the target must make a wisdom saving throw. If it fails, you get insight into its reasoning, emotional state, and something that looms large in its mind. If it succeeds, the spell ends. Either way, the target knows that you are probing into its mind, and unless you shift your attention to another creature's thoughts, the creature can use its action on its turn to make an intelligence check contested by your intelligence check. If it succeeds, the spell ends. Questions verbally directed at the creature naturally shape the course of its thoughts.
Okay.
So the spell is particularly effective as part of the integration. Yep.
Let's roll the dice. I want to dig deeper on Vincent.
On the paladin.
Yep.
Okay. Give me a
This is
second.
probably not going to end well. He probably has a high wisdom save.
Well, it's intelligence versus. Oh, and he's doing the wisdom save. Okay.
Yeah. My spell save's only 13. But we'll see what happens.
Hold on. Okay. So, diving deeper into Vincent's thoughts. Give me a second.
Just because it's one big
He's mostly
block
just.
attacks.
Yeah, that's fair. So the dominant thought that you're getting is that Vincent is convinced that Evelyn murdered. Hold on. Dang it. It's hard to keep track of all these pieces of documentation. Evelyn murdered Peter. You may want to take notes on this, just for your own sake. So yeah, you're convinced that Evelyn murdered Peter, and the thought he's having is that Evelyn murdered Peter. So why are we so overly concerned about what the hell happened to Evelyn? Even though, and he's also the other thought that's sort of dominating his thoughts is like, I know my paladins had nothing to do with this, but I don't understand how this happened.
Wait a minute, I'm not hearing this, right? I don't know this. This is not out loud.
Nope, this is all thoughts that Herlock is getting out of the paladin. So, all right, at this point, I need you to make an intelligence.
What was the second thought you had? Why? I'm actually taking notes.
Okay, so first that he's
Evelyn murdered Peter, so why?
Why are we so concerned about what the heck happens to her? And not understanding how this could happen, but annoyed that anybody would suspect his paladins were responsible for the two bodies you see in front of you.
All under suspicion. Okay.
All right, so now. Let's see. Okay. If it fails, you get insight in the reasoning. Let's see. All right. So, are you gonna keep probing, or are you?
Well, I don't think I can go any deeper than that with this first level spell on him, but I could shift it into the deep end on the other guy, which is what I'd like to do.
Okay. Let's see. So as you do that though, Vincent sort of like snaps his attention over to you. It's like, hey, what is this? What is this trickery? Stop! Like you pointing at you, Herlock.
Me? You brought us here.
Let's see.
I don't see why you're the one who's so annoyed, Vincent.
Let's see. Either way, the target knows that you were probing into its mind. Okay.
It's not like you're the one that did this to Evelyn, and then as soon as I say that, then I want to shift it back to Sten.
Okay. You don't get any thoughts out of Sten, but he also like.
Oh.
It's like, what, this gentleman? So at this point, yeah, Sten's also like annoyed and perturbed at you. Like, what?
At this, I kind of see that I would know what's happening once those guys kind of step up and start saying stuff.
Okay.
Because I know what's going on. Oh, gentlemen, don't worry. He just does probing the area, trying to find hints and clues. It's nothing personal. He does it all the time.
I need you to roll a persuasion there, Watson.
I assist him. Suppose I would have to actually.
I will rule that as a yes. Well, I mean, you were trying to convince, so all right. So I'll take the 19 then, since you're helping him. So Sten will sort of just back up. It's like, okay, you have very unusual techniques. I'll leave
Very
Vincent
unusual,
here.
man.
Of course we do. This is why you called the best in the business. If you wanted the usual techniques, then you would only find the usual suspects. Makes perfect sense. I see what you were doing.
At that, Sten just kind of like steps back, puts his hands up, and he's like, "I'll be in my study. I'll let you handle this, Vincent." He's like, "What?
Hey, better lucky than good, right?
What, why are you leaving me? Ugh. You know what? Let me know when you're done." And he steps out of the cell and like closes the door of the two of you in it and turns the key.
He locks us in?
Yes. Just let me know when you're done. And he's standing outside.
He hasn't left, but he's locked us in.
No, he's right outside the door.
Is he doing this because he's mad that that I probed his mind?
He seems annoyed. I'll let you come to conclusions as to why he's doing it.
Did he use a key?
You heard a key click, yes.
Okay.
What did you find? What do we know?
Is the key obviously located on him, or would it be kind of a bitch to cast Mage Hand and try to pickpocket it off of him?
I mean, you're in a door that's got like basically like it's like a metal door that's solid with the exception of like it's not like bars.
It's not like the Old West country. Oh, I see.
No,
what
it's
you're
not
saying.
one of those. It's
Okay.
like a solid metal door with like a little window, like one of those style like.
Yeah,
doors.
Stick your hands through to get uncuffed or cuffed. Yeah, gotcha.
Essentially.
Oh.
But he's right outside. I mean, you can see him there. And hear him like quibbling to himself. Or sort of actually, you hear him actually like bitching to the other paladin guard next to him. Like, what? Like, this is why I'm annoyed. Like, see, I just need to bring in outsiders.
Meanwhile, I turn to Watson and I say, all right, so what we got is some kind of unnatural death here. We got a blood circle drawn in the ground by something that's familiar with the arcane. Too early to say what it is. The paladin out there, he's, I don't think he's our guy. But I wouldn't trust him either, necessarily. He's, kind of convinced that Evelyn murdered Peter. Peter's the dwarf, right? Right.
Is he?
You're telling me that Vincent.
Oh, so we know Evelyn's the chick. We don't know who Peter is.
All you got from the
Peter's
thoughts was that Evelyn murdered Peter. That's the information you were given.
Sorry, Evelyn what?
Evelyn murdered Peter. Like, that's what was in Vincent's head.
Okay. So if he's not talking about Peter the dwarf here, then there's something bigger going on. All right. And he also kind of sanctimoniously annoyed that any of his precious paladins would fall under suspicion. I mean, I suppose it makes sense. Those fellas do try to keep squeaky clean, but you and I both know, old buddy, corruption finds root in the most sanctified of places sometimes. So, what did you find?
I found that there are no wounds on the body. That is healed magically, as far as I can tell.
Magically, huh? No wounds? That seems weird. Are you sure you found you scoured the body? Let me take a look. Step aside.
Yeah, these two.
But give me a hand too.
Yeah, definitely, of course. I'll guide him.
All right. So what are you looking for?
I want to investigate, but the old 1-2 punch is I investigate after he casts guidance.
Okay.
I'm going to exploit the hell out of my cantrips.
That is why I gave them to you. Go ahead and roll an investigation.
At advantage?
I mean, guidance gives you a D4, not.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, probably not.
Pretty much. I think
That's
that's the
okay.
exact same answer. I think that's the exact same one that.
Yeah, Watson, I don't think you messed it up this time. I mean, not that you messed it up before, but let's be real. One of us is the investigator, and the other one's, I get to hide beneath your robe sometime and cast spells when things get a little dicey out there. Anyway, all right. I don't like being locked in here. I mean, I can get out. I can't get you out though. What do you think? Do we pretend to make nice so they let us out of the cage? Because I don't think we're gonna find anything else in here. I mean,
Perhaps we go find who else has been here.
What was the question?
Perhaps we go find who else has been here.
yes, yes. All right. So at that point, I'll knock on the door with Mage Hand.
He unlocks. So Vincent, I mean, he immediately turns the key, opens, and is like, "All right,
Okay.
so you've gone over
I
both.
skitter
So you
out.
two have,
I cartwheel out because I don't like being locked up like that.
He opens the door. All right, so what you two sleuthin' buddies have figured out on both bodies, huh? Like, what's going on here?
Are we amongst friends here?
I mean, yeah, we want to know what the heck
Okay. Well,
happened.
first things first. You did say 150 gold pieces at the beginning just to try, and another 150 if we solve it.
Oh, you're talking to the paladin. Sten was the one that offered you the money. He's like, yeah, okay, well, but either way, he offered that much to you, huh? Wow, he's
He
desperate
he
for outside
did.
help. Okay,
Well, he
sure.
called the right guys. Let's just make sure that the gold exists first. So we've been hoodwinked before. With promises of 20-80, no, 50-50. That's the payment structure.
Um, uh, all right, and he'll walk over. He'll just walk like just down the hall, sort of pound on Sten's door. Like, Sten, they want to make sure that you have the cash. He's like, oh, you see his head's poking out, like, oh, of course. You see him walk back into his study. You hear like a couple of drawers open. He walks back out, and he like sort of like shimmies the bag that like looks very similar to the one he'd already handed you. Like, we're honest people here. No need to be concerned about being hoodwinked. We just want all this behind us. We want this figured out. So
Do you want it behind you, or you want it figured out?
figured out, of course.
Of course.
We've never. So tell us. And Vincent at that point's like, all right, can you tell us what happened to both bodies now?
Watson,
Me? Vincent?
yeah, I mean, you were up close with those bodies for a minute.
So I saw that there's no liquid left inside the woman, and just splashed with water. So I could tell really. Could not tell how they were killed.
That's it. Drained of
Right.
drained of
Okay. I guess we're gonna have to trust each other, right? Come here. Come closer.
that they both do.
And then, like, as in, like, they have to lean down so I can. All right. Like huddling up kind of thing.
Okay.
So I can put my arms around their shoulders.
They kind of
So
look uncomfortable, but they do this.
I took some time to investigate the presence of the arcane, and someone drew a circle of blood around the body of the woman. That wasn't immediately obvious to the visual cortex, but the mind's eye, noticed it right away. And I'll be honest with you two gentlemen, I had a pretty good knack for these situations and knowing who's putting their nose in it so that they don't get caught, and who's putting their nose in it because they actually want to know what happened. I don't think either of you two did this. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But my point is, we got to trust each other from here on out. Who's Peter?
Ah! And with that, Vincent sort of stands up and gets out of his. So. Oh, Peter was a very well respected member of the town. But, let's see. Hold on. Where's my little. No. Dang it. Sorry. Dang it. Where's. Okay. Oh. All right, so sort of starting over with Vincent. So he sort of steps back and is like, Peter was a good man. Peter, you have to understand, was the heir to the noble house, one of the noble houses in our local little town here, of the family Applegate. Poor man was married to a woman named Posey, but their relationship was strained.
Posey with a P?
Posey with a P, yes. And so that, but that, the two of them seemed very, very nice together, but that relationship seemed to fall out. But Evelyn
Interesting
was,
name for a partner. Posies are usually what you put in the pocket of someone who's recently deceased. Go on.
I mean, it's our naming traditions here. So Posey and Peter had a falling out, but what I think happened is that Evelyn, who used to be a servant in the Applegate household, may have how should I put this? Convinced Peter with her womanly ways, um, and they were married not 8 days ago, and not 2 hours after their marriage, my constables were summoned to their estate to find her covered in his blood, with his heart carved out on the ground. So with that, she was thrown in prison, and we were determining what to do
Posey,
with her.
you mean.
Say again?
Posey.
No, Posey's. So Posey, ex-wife,
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn, new wife,
Right.
found absolutely covered in blood with Peter, who she had just married, and now is the heir to an estate, and his heart is carved out and on the ground in their study, and we found her absolutely covered in his blood.
Or Posey.
Poor Posey indeed.
And Evelyn's the one who's in jail right now.
Evelyn's the dried body you see in there, yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Evelyn's the dry body. So who's the dwarf next to her?
That's a man named Borin.
A dwarf, you mean?
The dwarf, yes. The dwarf named, his name's Borin, and he was thrown in jail just 1 day ago for assaulting our local smithy. So you can kind of understand why we suddenly have two dead bodies in the cell with two entirely unrelated events. I don't understand.
Yeah, intriguing indeed.
And what did you? How did Boren die? You say?
Watson, he's my corpse guy. Well, I mean, he's more than that, but you know.
We investigated the body. Did we?
That, but I mean, I guess it's right there. We could go look right now.
We should go back. Well, they checked
Yeah.
Evelyn.
Wait, you said you were done, but you didn't check. What?
You have to excuse my friend here.
What did you say your company was called? Half and half seems like half done jobs. What is this nonsense?
Yes, Watson, what were you
We are
thinking?
taking our time. We are checking one thing at a time. One thing.
So, okay, here, let me help you so this goes faster. And we will aid each other in our investigation of this body.
Agreed.
So you're going back in the jail cell at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. With guidance.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah. Good luck.
Okay,
Yes,
hold on. Before you just start rolling things, give me a second. Let's see. No, okay. Give me a moment. I'm jumping around my notes here. Okay, you are now looking at Boren's body. Okay, so all right, what do you got to tell me what you're doing? You can't just roll investigations. You got to be more specific here. What are you looking for? What are you trying to determine?
Causes of death, obvious, what a normal CSI investigator
So
would look
we've
for.
determined that since we've determined Watson is the corpse person, I need you to roll a wisdom check, medicine check.
Me?
Yes.
Nothing. Listen, I will use guidance on myself. I'm just gonna keep swapping it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, while he's looking, and I kind of know that I screwed that. I'm looking at, I don't know. I'm gonna turn back to who are we talking to right now? It's Sten, right?
I mean, both of them are there now. Vincent's the one that's been doing most of the.
And
Well,
let me
Vincent
ask you
and
this: so, if you think Evelyn killed Posey, or excuse me, if Evelyn killed Peter, where's Posey right now?
Oh, that poor woman's. You have to understand. Sten sort of speaks up at this point. Oh, poor Posey. After her falling out with the Applegate estate, I believe she took everything she owned from there and is basically held up in a small little shack on the edge of town that she could barely afford. Okay, so a 5 medicine check. Okay, so
Screw the pooch.
so at first glance, the body like I said, appears to be covered in water. But the moment you even start to, you do notice, like as you get closer in, that his face looks bluish. And as soon as you start to like the moment you poke anywhere, you realize that it's not water. It's got like a viscous feeling to it, almost like almost like slimy, if you will.
Is there any odor? Is there any defining characteristics that I would recognize?
No. Let's see. Okay.
Odorless, colorless.
No, it does seem odorless and colorless. Yeah, odorless, colorless, transparent. I mean, you had thought it was water until you actually put your hands on it and realized, like, oh wait, this is viscous. So I will let you. Okay, and all right. So you try to check for. Okay. Oh. Okay. You're checking over the body. Do me a favor, Watson, and roll a perception check for me with your guidance accordingly. Still looking for. Okay. So as you've sort of, while you're like checking for figuring out how he died, you realize that there is there's a slight opening in the robes or the clothes he's wearing on his chest, and you can see the edges of a mark on his chest sort of poking out. Like what looks like maybe like the beginning of a tattoo, like just sticking out, like sort of sticking out of his shirt a little bit.
I will pull his shirt down to just gently to explore what I see on that chest there.
You find a tattoo over his heart depicting a coin bearing the images of a two-faced head. Which one of you has religion as a skill?
I do.
All right.
Well, we probably both do, don't we?
You probably both do. Both of you roll a religion check. Perfect. Okay. So Herlock, you immediately recognize this, and with your D4, you're going to recognize this too, Zach. So both of you recognize that it's a symbol of Hoar, Hoar. I should have changed the name of that in hindsight. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, who came up with this? It's a god of revenge. So both of you know it's a god of revenge. Oh, and with the D4. And both of you also know that Hoar's priests respond to calls for help carved into blocks of lead, and they will seek poetic forms of justice for any infraction, no matter how small.
I believe you have a clue.
So Herlock, you've heard of the stories of like these priests that, you've heard stories of someone who scrapes in basically scrapes in like some form of justice they want to see in a block of lead and burying it, and then these priests respond and serve out justice accordingly as they see fit. Is how these priests of justice priests of vengeance are known to operate.
We've gotten ourselves into one here. Well, let me tell you, Watson, this two-headed god, this is a group of priests not to be trifled with. They believe in one thing and one thing only, just vengeance. See, if you have a beef with someone, even if it's a small matter, and you somehow come across a block of lead, and you take your sweet time carving into that block of lead the poetic justice that you wish to be meted out on them, you bury it in the ground, and those priests will come a-knocking sooner than later for your target of vengeance, even if it's something inconsequential. They gotta be a working.
So where do we go from here? Do we try to find more about these people? These whorehounds?
I think we can share all this just yet with our buddies over there. I don't think they're in on it. I think I would have picked up on that. If they are in on it, then they're hiding it really well. And if they're not in on it, then they might inadvertently share this tidbit that there's a, some kind of evil cult-like presence that's quietly killing people around all these paladin folk, and they're not gonna take that well. You know what I mean? They're gonna want to do something about that loudly and quickly, which is the exact opposite of what we need to finish our investigation and get paid, of course. But finish the investigation. So
Investigation.
I say that we tell this guy the truth, which is the cause of death is still undetermined, and we're going to need to explore around the premises more in order to figure out what's happening. And so with that, I'll look up at step back out of the room. All right, gentlemen. I'll be honest with you. You got a real whodunit on your hands here.
Stan was like, I'm sorry, what? Go on.
It's too early to say what caused the death of this poor dwarf here. Morn, as you named. But do you know why he assaulted the smithy? I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter too much, but the only thing these two seem to have in common from what you're telling me is that they were in jail together at the same time. This jail. Did Morn act like this normally? Was he a drunk? Was he prone to anger?
When we tried to question why he attacked the smithy, he refused to talk. He wouldn't give us an answer. And our attempts to try
Nothing at all, huh?
And our attempts to try to get an answer out of him were met with.
But did it seem out of character? That's what I'm asking.
He's not from around here. We don't. No one had seen him in town until, I think the last 6 or 7 days or so.
So no way of knowing if this is the kind of thing that a traveling dwarf would do, normally or otherwise. Well, based on my notes here, I should very much like to go talk to Posey, if you could point us in that direction.
Oh, yes. Just simply head on out the main. Just head on out the main road, and he sort of just gives directions. Like once you head out of the temple, basically just head out the main road until you get to the last street on your right. Follow that all the way to the end, and basically look for the most rundown shack at the end of the road. And I'm afraid that's where you'll find her. Poor woman was happily married until 6 months ago, and just a sad state of affairs we found upon her.
Yes, that is sad. Okay, shall we go over there now?
Yes.
All right, so you're headed off to Posey's. Okay. So, give me a moment. All right. Hold on. Sorry, you gotta give me a minute. Where's Shix? Sorry.
You're good, Mike.
No. Oh, here we go. Got it. Okay. All right. So you make your way to, yeah. So you're given very clear directions. You head on down the stairs through the pews of the Temple of Tyr. As you're heading outside, it's pretty much dark at this point. It's just well, you've got a little bit of twilight left, but it is mostly dark. The town's not that big, so it only takes you about 15 minutes to come across the shack moving down the street and then down around the corner. Okay. So let's see.
We're not supposed to see a map yet, right?
No, in fact, I really
Okay.
don't. I don't actually have one. This is
All theater of the mind.
this is
It's
almost
all good.
entirely theater of the mind. Okay, so you walk. So all right, so you find yourselves outside of the shack that was described to you. It looks quite small, and someone wrote down again. It does look to be the most destitute-looking building that you've seen so far. Not well maintained. It looks like there's like cracks between like the ceiling and the foundation or the walls. But you are now outside the building, and there's a door before you.
So we let the games begin. You know what? I got an idea. Why don't you stand here and you knock, and I'm gonna hide it. I'm gonna hide behind you. You know, see if I can see something that she doesn't want to be seen.
Interesting. Okay. So I will knock on the door.
Got it. Okay. So roll stealth there, Herlock. Okay. You are being quite stealthy. You knock there, Watson. Nothing. Nothing. There is no response. There's nothing. You don't hear anything as a result.
Is there a window nearby?
There is.
We'll peek in the window.
Each of them as stealthily as possible, if that is possible.
Okay. You peek inside and
I'm not trying to be stealthy. I'm just looking in the window.
okay. Looking at the window eye. So as you look inside, it's dark, so it's kind of hard to see. You do think you see some like rather shiny objects. Like you do see some items like reflecting a little bit of light, like basically up on tables and up on the wall. Um, but beyond that, you can't really see. Oh, and you think you see a person. You think you see what looks like a person or a humanoid of some sort on the ground.
Is there someone's laying there on the ground? And I will kick in the door.
It's not well maintained at all. It takes very little effort, and you kick the door down. And upon entering the rundown shack, you walk in and see. Yeah, no, you see a bunch of baubles. There's paintings, like some jewelry, some fine clothing, like draped over some very rough-looking, or some old furniture. But more importantly, there's a decorative knife hanging on a plaque in the room. But you also see lying on her back, or lying on their back, a female body in the center of the room, um, looking like they are completely covered in water and non-responsive.
Okay, I will go up and check for life signs.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to close the door behind.
Okay.
And attempt to revive if I detect any life signs at all.
So okay.
Or just attempt to revive in general. Actually.
Try to do me a favor. Do another medicine check.
What do we do? I will do this with guidance.
Okay.
So
okay.
Oh,
You surmise from that the way that it doesn't look like you can bring her back because the way that she died she has evidence that she basically died of drowning. And like the blue face is that she like couldn't, like it was asphyxiation that killed her. And it seems like, if only you had gotten here maybe a couple minutes earlier. Like, this looks recent. Like, the body looks very fresh.
Does he
Is
see
this
that,
Covey?
or do I see that too?
Watson's the one seeing this because he's the one looking at
Okay.
the bodies. You actually make an insight check there, Herlock.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, Hemlock, you said.
Okay, so to you, it's obvious that the like treasured baubles or like look like there's a massive dichotomy between like you have very very fancy clothes and baubles and like I said, there's a very clearly decorated knife on the wall that's got a plaque that's like put up on a plaque that it just does not belong in this space. Let's see.
Furthermore, if this was any kind of normal murder and there's fancy shit lying around, it wouldn't still be lying around after the fact.
You also while you're looking around, you also notice over like against one of the walls, what looks usually like a makeshift dining area, is a stack. You see a stack of lead blocks.
All right, so the door's closed. He's investigating.
Yep.
How high off the ground are the lead blocks?
Like 3 feet, 4 feet, normal. Like they're on top of like a normal table.
Clamber up, take a look at them, see if any are inscribed already. See if there's an inscription tool lying around.
There is a next to the lead blocks is a chisel.
Anything inscribed on them, or are they plain so far?
These ones are plain. The ones you see, none of these lead blocks have anything written on them.
Anything else in the room sticking out, catching my eye? Or, I mean, besides the knife and the fancy shit that she probably hooked from her previous marriage?
No. Nothing else. Nothing else seems to jump out at your very perceptive eyes.
How about the body?
Watson. Give me a second.
Since I don't know that this body is fresh, I'm going to start ritually casting Detect Magic again.
Okay. So yeah, the only other thing, I mean, the other thing that you realize is that again, sort of, I mean, one it appears that they died by drowning, and two, there's no other wounds. Like there's nothing else. Like there's no punctures, there's no cuts, there's no bludgeons. It just appears to be drowning and drowning alone. But like there's no large amounts of water that you can tell nearby. But again, it's also that like viscous. And at this point, actually, do a nature check for me there, Watson.
Yeah.
D4. Yeah, no, it seems it's a very identical, like slimy texture, odorless, tasteless that you got off of the dwarf's body earlier.
Unusual.
What's up?
Very unusual.
Hmm.
So with the lead blocks in the house, expensive bubbles and things. You're casting Detect Magic, yeah?
Can I talk to him while I'm casting?
Oh,
Um.
I don't know the virtual casting.
Probably. Yeah. I'll allow it.
All right, so you see me gesturing, eyes closed, and then I look up and... Give me a moment. What is it?
Oh yeah, I explained to him that it's the same fluid as was killed the other lady or the man, the dwarf. It's the same fluid. This is very new. Just happens very recently.
You're saying it's a fluid situation. I understand, old buddy.
It's time for levity is not now.
No, I'm
Yes,
not
the DM.
casting levitate. I'm casting detect magic. You know this is our drill when we go into a new crime scene. Why would I want to levitate the dead body? And so, with that, I'll kind of get back to casting.
Okay. Watson, are you doing anything else while he's finishing up his ritual?
Yeah, explore the rest of the house to see if. Oh, you said something about that knife on the wall. What about that?
It is a. Oh, dang it. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. It's a decorative knife hanging on a plaque, basically on the room. I mean, it kind of stands out because it's like this shiny, very decorative-looking, almost
But the
steak
case,
knife-looking.
the case hasn't been opened or anything. Does it look like it's been? Is it in a case or is it just like sitting on a shelf? Or
It's mounted on a plaque on the
okay.
wall.
All right, so that doesn't look good.
I mean, it sticks out because it's like the one really shiny thing against like rotted, almost like wood that looks like it's barely holding itself up. So it's just a massive dichotomy. But yeah,
Is there any other liquid in the house?
like
Like, is there like a bucket of water somewhere? Or
there is a what looks you find like a chamber pot, as well as yeah, you see like one like pot of water near the dining room table near the dining table that had the lead blocks.
is there? If there's recent, is there any splashes around of the pot? Does it look like it was disturbed recently?
No.
Okay. All right, I will wait for Herlock to finish his ritual casting.
As you are done investigating the buckets of water, Herlock finishes his ritual and is discovers no change in the environment after casting his spell.
Most peculiar here. I've noticed a few things while you've been poking that soggy corpse right there. So, first, doesn't seem to be any arcana floating about this place. Not like at the last one. The blood circle was unique to Evelyn. It's rather peculiar. Secondly, remember that coin that we found?
Yeah.
Look at those lead blocks over there.
Do so.
Does he know about the priest the way that I do, or only I know that, right?
Only if you told him, which I think you did. But I mean,
I think I touched on it. See those lead blocks right there? Those look an awful lot like the kind of blocks you would use to summon. What were they called again?
priests of Hor.
H
Hoar.
O A R.
I think you guys were talking about
Hori is like an adjective from Old English.
Okay, maybe I'm pronouncing
But
it wrong.
hoary was, like that's what you would use to describe an old growth tree that has just a lot of shag and moss about it.
Gotcha. Okay,
Um,
and I explained to you how the ritual works for that summoning the using the lead blocks.
yeah, you take a lead block, you describe the poetic justice that you want distilled, and then you bury that.
Okay.
Correct.
Yes, that is accurate.
Is that all there is to it? Like once you write it on a lead block and bury it, they will come?
That is how you understand it. Yes.
Well,
It's like a prayer. It's like a way of like basically conducting a prayer to this god of revenge. And ideally, the god of revenge then sends a priest to do your bidding. Is the thought.
I tell you what, these lead blocks, they don't look like much, but it sticks out even more than that jeweled dagger over there in this little rat hole. If you catch my drift. Cozy. May she rest in peace. Cozy. I mean, I would imagine she probably took some trinkets and treasures from the Applegate estate before she was kicked to the curb here. But these lead blocks there would stick out more. But if she's the one that's inscribing on the lead blocks in the first place, invoking her revenge, then why is she herself drowned on dry land? Any sense?
She wasn't the only one to have these blocks.
Maybe. Or maybe they were put here, but who knows when the last time was that someone was... I mean, she could have been here for a while, for all we know. I don't know. I'm thinking we might need to go nose around the Applegate estate. But first, I have a theory, if you're willing to entertain it.
Yes, let's hear it.
What if we called upon the priests of horror with one of these lead blocks, and our revenge is simply to uncover the person responsible for this? I mean, worst case scenario, nothing happens, am I right?
Is this like a genie problem? Pero I can try it. If we ask for one thing, are we gonna get that? Are we gonna get something totally different?
Maybe.
But
I came up with a little poem, a little haiku. Vincent and the Sten, together clucking like hens, don't claim self-defense.
Okay.
See, we inscribe something like that on one of these lead blocks. There's our poetic justice. I know, bit of a stretch, I know, but work with me here.
It might not work. We are trying to get Vincent in something, some sort of trouble.
And, you know, shake up the cage a little bit. Maybe someone suddenly looks relieved if, I don't know, I'll tell you what. I don't think anything too terrible is going to happen. I've been wrong before, but, you know, worst case scenario, there's a block of lead in the ground with some half-wits failed poetry on it. Best case scenario, these guys show up and we get to follow where they go next.
That may be worth a try. So how long do we have to wait for this thing to happen after we bury it?
Know that?
Roll a religion check.
Ooh.
It can take anywhere from 1 to 7 days.
You're right. We don't have that much time. It's a matter of days with these folks, these fellas. I'm sure they still got to get here by horseback, even if they're all mysterious. We got a drowned dwarf, we got a drowned jilted ex-lover, and we have a desiccated new lover that really didn't belong in her station. Yeah, you know what? I think all signs point to the Applegate estate. The real question is, how are we going to get them to let us inside? I know.
You just tell them to be in
You with your big burly frame, you're going to show up at the front door, see, and I'm going to be hiding behind you. And you're going to introduce yourself as the help that they've been looking for. And we'll go from there. We'll see if, maybe we can infiltrate. They'll let us into the house. And once we're inside, I'll use my short stature to start taking a look around. You might have to do some manual labor, some household chores, but Hey, we all have our parts to play.
He just goes there and asks first.
I suppose you're right. That could work too. All right, let's go to the Applegate estate.
You do
Okay.
so.
All right. So off to the Applegate estate you go. It's rather obvious. Like I mean, it's the one large city. It's the one large, like sort of nice, larger, like 3-story or like 4-story building in town. It's across town, so it's another like 15-minute walk. So you're kind of going from one corner to another. But you sort of come up to what looks like a sort of a gate. It is dark at this point, so I mean you are casting a few people at night, and there are a couple of lamps on like this one main road. But you have to, or like there seems to be lamps that like basically lead up the walkway. You'd have to go through a gate to get up to the estate's manor door. Hold on. And give me a second. Yeah, so you find yourself at the front door of the Applegate estate.
What do you think? We go with the straightforward approach or the old roundabout?
What do you think?
I mean, we're already here. Might as well knock and see if they'll talk to us. Let's go straightforward first. If that doesn't work, then maybe you can toss me up on the roof and I'll climb down the chimney or something crazy like that.
Say if you take the up and up way. Nothing to hide, hopefully.
Say, all right, let's go. We'll walk up to the front door.
Okay. You find yourselves at the front of a rather lavish estate, mahogany doors, sort of inlaid, good carving wood, a little like pull string, or no, sorry, a very large knocker is basically like greets you as you walk up to the front door, like a metal like knocker on the front door, large double doors.
Yes, I do like large knockers.
After about 10 seconds, the large double doors open, and you see what looks to be a very like well-dressed, sort of up the smart-looking half gnome, sort of wander off around the corner, like,
A gnome, you say?
may we help you?
My name is Watson. This is my patriot, Herlock. We are here
Sherlock Holmes.
investigating a recent, how should you say, event in town here. We would like to ask you some questions if you'd be so willing.
Are you looking for the master of the estate, or are you looking to question the servants?
Actually, yes. We'll start with you. How's your day going?
It is quite late. Are you certain this is a matter that requires attention now?
I wouldn't be here otherwise. We wouldn't be here otherwise.
And I'm sorry, whose authority are you here on?
What kind of question is that? You're the servant of the house. We're guests. Invite us in.
You can understand, with the more grisly events of late, we're a little suspicious of strangers wandering into the estate.
Of course. As you should be. And with that, I'm going to... I was going to use charm person, but he would see that coming. You know what? I'm going to stand... As he says that, I'm going to pretend... what's the best way to describe this? You know how in movie dialogue scenes when one character starts kind of casually pacing around? I know we're right outside the door, but I'm going to casually pace around Watson, and when I get behind him, Then I'm going to try to cast Charm Person on this guy, so he's a little more receptive to.
Okay. Wisdom. Okay. Um.
Unwise gnome.
So he. So you. All right. So you've successfully charmed him. Now what?
Like I said, you don't even tell us your name, and we're guests. We're here at the bidding of someone that is on good terms with your master, and before we speak to him, we'd like to kind of, clean ourselves off. We've been on the road for a while, and also ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind, old friend.
Oh. That seems fair and much friendlier. Opens the door, beckons you in. You sort of walked into like a rather large entry space with like imagine like a big chandelier as you walk in. There's sort of like this double curved stair leading up to the second floor. It's sort of this open balcony. Um, at the top of the balcony, you see a gruff-looking half orc. Let's see, where is he? Um, yeah. Who doesn't really look. I mean, your eyes, Turlock, realize make him, or both of you really sort of think that he kind of looks out of place. Like he's got a long sword. He's got like a long sword tied to his back. Daggers on his hips. Like the guy looks like he's armed for combat, but he's standing in the middle of this estate. But so the servant gentleman. So he walks in and is like, "Oh yes, of course. Please, Mr. Holmes and Mr. Watson, was it? Yes. My name is Chip, and I'm quite happy to have you in the state. You had some questions for me, yes? Or was it that you would like me to go summon the master?
Maybe we'll have a seat and, share some bread and maybe a pint of ale. I'm sure you can make do.
Of course. I will see what's available in the kitchen. Please, stay in the foyer. I shall be back as quickly as I can. What is it? Oh, it's an hour. All right, charm person lasts a while. Okay, so he walks off. You two are left in the foyer. There's a half orc sort of staring you down and like.
Oh, we're still in the foyer. I didn't. Oh.
Yeah, he
So
said he asked you to stay here. He's gonna go fetch food.
Which we're going to eat standing up in the foyer?
That's a fair point.
I'm thinking there's got to be a kitchen or a little servant's table or something like that where we can.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, so he will bring you back into the. He'll have you follow him into what is clearly like this. He basically like you go through like a one door that leads into like this large room with like a very decent dining room table, and then through another door, and you're clearly in like the kitchen space. And some of the kitchen staff, like there's two people there that are like cleaning dishes and like scrubbing. Both of them kind of like look at you suspiciously, like look at Pip. And he kind of waves and smiles and keeps walking through another door, and you're sort of in this like small little, basically like almost like a, not a broom closet, but a decent sized, it's a small room with like three little
Pantry.
tables. Yeah, essentially a pantry. And he looks like he's breaking, and he breaks out like a couple of small sausages, and like a cask and like grabs two glasses, and then like taps, basically like gives you both little glasses of wine and hands them to you.
Cheers, my man. Thank you.
So yes, please. What would you like to know?
Well, what is it that you know about the events around here? I'll be honest, we were just passing through and we kind of got roped in somehow and we're trying to get our bearings on the situation. I mean, you're a friendly guy. Tell us what you know.
I
A
mean,
friendly gnome. Excuse me.
fair enough. So at that, I mean, well, I assume you're referring to the grisly murders of poor Posey.
Oh yes,
Or not Posey, Evelyn.
Evelyn.
No,
Yeah.
I'm getting all my details mixed up. The poor murder of Peter. Oh, we had to. It was up to me and my friend. It was up to me and our staff here to clean up the blood out of the carpet. That was just absolutely gruesome. Poor Evelyn. That was. I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. The poor woman used to be one of us. Had managed to raise herself to such high estate, and then to. It doesn't make sense to me to be to be found with her. She was genuinely happy with Peter. That's what I don't understand of it at all. It doesn't make sense that she would murder her love and husband. It just doesn't. It doesn't add up. I don't. I don't understand it.
I would tend to agree with you there. I mean, is there anyone else that might have been unhappy about it?
Unhappy about.
Their union.
Oh well. There were rumors. You understand. That Peter and Evelyn's relationship began before Peter and Posey had ended their relationship. But I can tell you because I was watching, because I knew Posey. I mean, like I said, she's sat among these tables, worked in this space. Or dang it, I keep getting names mixed up. I knew Evelyn. Evelyn was just a hardworking servant of this household, and she had not had any eyes for Peter until after Posey had left the house. What happened between?
Posey left the house first.
So Peter and Posey were married. About
Yes.
6 months ago, their relationship ended. They had a falling out. The master of the house, or the Peter's father, Claude, who still resides upstairs, the poor man has taken in a bodyguard, who you may have seen if you were coming through the entranceway, the man at the top of the stairs. Poor man. Absolutely paranoid now, after his son and only heir, grisly murdered in such a way.
Only heir. Wow. Must be a lonely man.
Indeed, now he is. It's not a fun place to work here, I can assure you. Poor man still grieving. Hasn't been barely a week. Man only buried his son a few days ago. So, yes, Posey certainly was not keen to leave the estate, and I believe it was, but I'm convinced that she had something to do with the rumors swirling about that Evelyn and Peter had started and had some sort of affair. I know firsthand because of the way that Evelyn was treated and worked in these halls that she had nothing to do with. That it was a genuine relationship that began and budded long after Posey had left.
I see. And if Peter's the only heir to the estate, what happens now if Claude's an old man?
I don't know. For that, you'd have to ask the master.
See. Tell me. I know this might sound strange. It's a bit of a ritual, but what do you know about lead blocks? You know, blocks of lead. Some of the houses around here seem to have them lying around, and I'm just trying to make sense of it.
I don't. You have me at a loss, sir. I don't know what that means. Why? I don't know why someone would keep lead blocks around outside of building materials. I don't.
Possibly, I suppose.
I certainly don't. We don't keep a collection of them here. It seems like an odd question.
Oh, very good. Yeah, just trying to get a wrap our head around the customs of this wonderful little town. Anyway, I suppose if we wanted to talk to Claude, we'd probably have to wait till morning.
Considering it's an important matter, I believe I could probably rouse the master for you.
You know, I think you should do that henceforth, immediately.
Oh, well then. Please come with me. I'll have him meet you in the foyer. So he ushers you both, out of the out of the pantry, through the kitchen, through the dining room space. You're now downstairs in the foyer. He sort of shuffles upstairs. The bodyguard-looking figure sort of like stops him, and there's a quick setting of words. Kind of looks at the bodyguards, looks at you, shrugs. Goes off down a hallway, and about like 20 seconds later, comes running back at the top of the stairs, and he's like, come, the master!
Out with it! Out with it! What is it?
He's non-responsive. He's on the floor. Wet. I need help. And with that, the bodyguard takes off.
And we take off right after him.
And chin and try to stabilize him and cast.
Okay, so you all come. So the bodyguard sprints down the hallway. He takes off. Pip waits for you and leads you down basically one long hallway to this one large door at the end of the hallway, which is still open. The bodyguard's sort of looking around with his weapons out, sort of confused, and you come rushing in behind him, and you see what looks like an elderly man in his probably 70s, in his nightgown, very similar to Scrooge, I suppose, covered in what you now know is some sort of slime, and it was becoming an annoyingly similar and familiar pattern of with blue face and what you can only surmise is drowning again.
You're to look over to the Watson.
Yeah. See, does he look like he's alive
No.
at all? I go over
What
and
is, what's the gnome's name again? Pip?
Pip, yep.
I'm staring at him. I'm not like that, but I want to see what this guy's all about.
Pip?
Is he still shocked? Yeah.
He is absolutely stunned. He's sort
Beside
of
himself.
Yeah, he doesn't he's down on his knees ah!
He doesn't look like he's faking it or anything. Like this is
No, in fact
genuine
he's like
shock. And
the priests. I'll go with the priests, and he takes off outside.
as soon as he does that, I look at the half orc and I say, now I know we haven't had a chance to meet yet, but I tell you one thing: you should probably go with Pip because whatever's out there could get him next, and that falls on you as the bodyguard.
That seems like an odd. I don't.
We're death investigators.
That's nice, but how did something get in here past me? That's what I don't understand. That's what we got to figure out.
And that's what we're about to find out. But you need to make sure that nothing gets to Pip. Go with him.
Roll a persuasion. My DC was 15. He seems just more frustrated and annoyed than anything, but he's like, you better hope you're right about this, and he takes off outside.
Oh, I hate being right. Trust me.
Okay. You are now alone in a very fancy bedroom. I may have missed. Hold on a second. Wait, hold on a moment. Dang it. Give me a minute. No. Here we go. Where does it talk about? Hold on. Here we go. Both of you roll perception checks for me. I just realized this may have thrown things off slightly, but that's okay. Just a random detail I want to make sure is caught. Okay. That answers that. Cool. All right. So you're in the room with the body. You're in a very fancy bedroom. Yeah, I mean it's like one of those like 4 posts beds with like a cover over it. There's like, I mean, imagine like, I don't know if either both of you have been like in the one of the like bedrooms of like one of the mansions in Newport. I'm imagining
I know
just
what
like,
you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like very gauche and just very fancy, and like it's about as fancy as a bedroom you've ever been in probably in your entire lives. These guys are well off. So yeah, okay, you're in his bedroom and there's a body.
We only have a few minutes to act. You do your thing with the body. I'm going to start looking for documents, clues, a will, an estate charter, something or other. And I'm scouring the room, the nightstand, dresser, desk, bookshelves, anything where there might be documents pertaining to the custody of the estate now that the only heir is gone. As in, cui bono, who benefits with the sole heir being gone, and also follow the money.
Okay.
My guiding principles here.
Watson, what are you doing?
I'm going to investigate the body, look for any wounds, look for any tattoos that may be there. I'm also going to investigate the room and nearby rooms, see if I can find anything out of the ordinary. By out of the ordinary, I mean perhaps some lead blocks or anything like that.
All right. Okay. So, okay. Herlock, roll. All right. So actually, we'll start with Watson. Roll me a medicine check and an investigation check, and then Herlock, when he's done with that, if we could roll a perception and an investigation.
What was the first one before?
Medicine. Because you're checking the body and then you're checking around. So we'll do medicine first. Okay. 15. Got it. An investigation.
Investigation. The guidance. Oops, click that one. Wrong one. Sorry. Oh, goodness gracious.
Wow.
Double ones.
Wow. Just wow.
Wow.
Okay.
The dice do not like us.
No. So, okay. Now, Herlock, if you could roll your...
Triple one.
Is it a...
Perception and then investigation, please.
Would I have guidance for this? Since, like,
Yes.
again,
You
this
two
is
have
our...
established, you two have established that this is a thing, so yes.
Okay. Okay, so perception first.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. And investigation.
Mm-hmm. 22. Okay. Give me a minute. No. Where's... Here we go. Okay. Oh, roll a d4 for me. Okay. All right. So, Watson, it's the same story as you've seen with every other body. It's like you don't see any additional wounds, you don't see any bludgeoning, you don't see any additional like it all like it's just that's that same like blue face. Clearly, someone was drowned, and again, it seems fresh. But your additional searches around don't yield much. You're kind of just sort of seem to be following in Herlock's footsteps.
Oh. I'm sorry. Can I use Lucky to reroll perception? Or would I have to reroll investigation?
Investigation? You can reroll the investigation, sure.
but
Wait,
not
can you give it-
perception.
Does it have to be a 1 for lucky?
Oh,
Or
it
only.
does have to be a 1.
And is it you, or is it you can have other people roll their 1s?
No,
That was-
that's only for me.
Okay.
Only if I roll a 1.
Got it. So
No, never
Alright,
mind.
so-
Does not apply.
got it. So as I said, Watson, you discover. I mean, it's the same story you've seen. Unfortunately, it's the same. Like they seem to be drowned. Herlock, in your attempt to try to find documentation, you move past the window in the space and discover that there's notice a crack in the window, but also that there's some residual, what looks like water along the frame of the window. It's viscous.
Watson!
Yeah.
Get here! Look! And I'm trying to jump. Point.
Well, it's like, so the window's cracked, like just above like where you were like at head level, and it's like you just hit like the eye level. You happen to notice from like the lamplight in the room that like this like something reflected off and like that
It's like
caught
the
your eye.
perfect sheen,
Yeah, and like you
angled. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so hence the 25 investigation. So, like,
Wait,
caught
is that what the DC was?
for that? Yes. So, like, you see, like, there's a sheen that's like coming off of there, and then you realize, like, now that you know to look for it, and we lost Zach's video, which is gonna throw off my stream. Oh, he's back.
Hi. All right.
Oh, wait, we are streaming.
Oh, yeah, we
Computer.
Oh, okay, good.
That way, Jim can come back and enjoy this at his own leisure. Or I don't know. I haven't actually checked. I didn't bother to check Twitch or Streamlabs. Yeah, no, nobody's watching. Cool. There appears to be like a now that you're looking for it very specifically. There's very trace amounts of what looks like this viscous slime from the body to the window, but the window's only cracked like this big.
Ah. Are there telltale signs of the direction of drippage? Basically, to the window or from the window?
That you can't determine.
All right, I'm gonna cast Detect Magic, but not ritually. I'm just gonna cast it.
Yeah, nothing glows.
What kind of creature can make its way all the way in here through a window crack that small? Doesn't leave behind a magical trace. I gotta say, this is pretty odd.
I need you to make an Arcana check for me.
Since I said that out loud, do I get guidance on this Arcana check?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
you two just seem to have this constantly going, so why not?
Oh, what? Wait.
That was
wait.
the Arcana. Now we got to roll the Arcana.
No.
Oh, that's the Arcana. Oh, so now you're lucky. This is where the lucky fans out. Okay.
So a 19. Wow, go lucky.
Nice.
Right. Okay. So with this sort of point of order, you're convinced now that this may be some sort of ooze type creature. So like this, you think that this residual stuff may be some sort of ooze, but like, as opposed to its origin, you're not entirely certain.
Some kind of
Sure.
ooze secreting creature, the likes of which makes my hairy toes kind of curl up a bit. Not a fan. I think I'd have to stop by the academy to pour through some old tomes before I could pluck out of the hat exactly what this thing is. Not magical, but it doesn't seem like it belongs around these parts either.
Would I know anything about this ooze?
You can roll an Arcana check if you'd like, with your own guidance going.
I would like. I just have to figure out how to do that on phone. Oh, this is not how to do it. Okay.
If you tell me what your bonus is, I can just roll it for you. Or I can actually just pull it up now that I think about it. I forget I have access to your character sheets. Do you want me to just roll it for
Anna
you?
is a straight intelligence check.
I want to try it here. Okay, there we go. I got it. What am I rolling?
Arcana.
A straight D20.
Arcana.
Equal the 4. It came through though.
D4. God. I am rolling very poorly.
That's okay. All right. So, yeah. Upon the word thinking of ooze, nothing else jumps out at you, Zach.
Yeah.
Your lack of video is throwing off my stream.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I have to get out of it every. Can you see me
So
now?
in this search that I did that was interrupted by the windowsill and the ooze, is it safe to assume that that yielded no documentation of any kind that it was after?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and there's nothing else in the room, lead blocks or otherwise, that really sticks out?
No.
We're up on the second floor, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's a light reflecting substance, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask my friend, hey, Watson, I want you to open up this windowsill for me.
Okay, I do so.
And then I want you to hold me outside the windowsill so I can get a look at the wall outside the windowsill to see if this thing, if it has to obey the laws of gravity and all that, and or if it's flying around.
Yeah, I do so again. I hold you by your ankles, let you drop down.
Do I see the trail of ooze sliding down the back of the house?
Make a survival check for me. At advantage, because you know what you're looking for. Perfect. Okay. That was a stealth check, by the way, for people watching later. So yes, you very clearly can see what looks like two different trails actually. One that's like moving up diagonally that looks like it may have been coming from the general direction that you can surmise from Posey's shack, and then a different trail that seems to be going out in a different direction, closer toward the center of town.
That's it. There's two trails. One of them looks like it's coming right from Posey's shack. Quite possibly while we were in there, mucking about. It was already on its way here to take out the old man. The other trail leads to the center of town. I think we need to make haste and get over to the center of town, figure out what's going on. But following the trail.
Oh, quickly.
Alright, so quickly run out of the room. Did we thoroughly investigate the body to make sure there wasn't a coin or anything on it?
I believe I did.
He did, yes. He didn't find any tattoos.
Okay. So yeah, downstairs, out the back of the house, and then we'll start the trail at where the ooze hits the grass or whatever the ground is, right there.
Okay.
Track it.
So so the two of you work together to sort of follow the ooze. It takes you actually both of you make, or no, I don't know which one of you, who's doing the actual tracking between the two of you?
Probably be
I'll
you.
do it. Yeah.
I will help.
Yeah, so make another survival check at advantage, since Watson is helping you.
Would it help if we had light?
And guidance.
I mean, you have guidance and you have a roll at advantage. I can't give you much more than that mechanically.
Okay.
17.
Okay. So you two managed to basically follow this trail. It looks like it's sticking to the sides of walls and corners and then moving across, it almost seems like move from small puddles. So like you realize, you surmise now like why you just wouldn't have come across this. Whatever this thing is, it's intelligent enough to try to avoid. But now that you know exactly what you're looking for with light to like shine and move, like you're finding this residual stuff. And as you follow it, and it looks like it's actually just getting. As you round a corner, you realize you're about to get in front of the Temple of Tyr. We're going to. Oh, dang it! Hold on. And I don't have a token for him, but you can just assume that out front is Stein, and you see, or Stan, excuse me, and you see this thing.
I don't know what that is, but this is like John Carpenter's It.
It's like
If you've seen, have you seen that movie? That's pretty disturbing.
No, I haven't.
You've seen it, right, Zach?
A long time ago, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So you see, so this thing, so actually, that's what you see is, what looks like a living, moving ooze, completely like enveloped over the top half of Sten, and like completely wrapped around his head, and he's like, like grabbing at it. And
I can't destroy water.
I like the way you think. Roll initiative. Roll
Okay.
for initiative. Where's my? There you are.
Wait, do we still have guidance?
No, I'm gonna say you didn't have time for that. You were too busy. Actually, you could say you were using it for the purposes of. Let's see. Click.
I don't know if that. Can't tell. It's not.
What are you trying to do?
Roll initiative.
Why did Aurora of the Shining Dawn? That's funny. Hold on. That is funny.
I
Ignore the D8.
that character.
Okay. So what's everybody's actual
Did
initiative?
you?
I don't know. Should I just roll it again? I don't even know.
Yeah, just roll it again. I don't know what the heck happened there.
So I go like this, like this, like this, like this.
Where's initiative? Oh, Zach's. There you go. 4. Oh, there you go. That'll work.
Aha.
All right. Okay, and then Herlock. What did you have? 19? No,
6.
6.
Well,
Okay.
plus 3, so a 9, but same thing.
Got it. Oh, can't do. All right, Watson. What are you doing?
Destroy water.
Link that for me.
Yes. Sheet. Get over to Billy Spells. Billy Spells.
Oh, you have a hard time messing with stuff. I suppose I could just look it up.
Yeah, I'll just do that. Cast it. Sorry.
Destroy water. No, that's fine. Interesting. Okay, so you try. All right, so you try to cast Destroy Water. But it does not seem to have any effect on the creature.
Hmm.
And that
Okay.
is an action. The creature continues to 3d10.
Just gotta step out for just a quick second. Daughter's crying again.
Okay. Woo! Okay. You watch this thing like Sten falls basically. Sten drops to the ground. And this thing starts to move actually toward here. Which I'm going to say the entrance to the temple is actually over here. So Herlock, what are you doing? Levitate. One creature object you choose.
So he has to roll a con save. He's probably going to hit it, but You never know.
Okay. Fails. All right. Fixed object
Okay.
surface. Okay, so you are successfully levitating this thing for what, like an unwilling creature.
I can.
The target. Let's see. The spell can elevate the target that can weigh up to 500 pounds. Okay. All right. So how far are you making it levitate?
I'm trying to put as much distance between this thing and the ground and walls as possible. So it's here.
Yep.
I want to move it diagonally up and to the right as far as I can. To the hold on, turn orders. Fucking
Here.
basically there, as far away from anything else as possible. Because not that I know what this thing is, but if it's amorphous, I'm imagining it can make tendrils or something else to reach out, lash out, push against.
Okay. All right. It is levitating. I'll say you got it to here, and it's about 5 feet off the ground right now. Watson.
I would prefer it to be higher up off the ground if I can. That's why.
Oh, all right. I'll put it there, and it's 10 feet up. So you
Yeah.
kind of like diagonally moved it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I will. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't suppose you can turn your video back on.
I can do this.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead.
I will cast Spiritual Weapon in its vicinity.
Do I have that token here? No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Is there any kind of modifier since this thing is no longer on the ground? It just kind of.
No, it exists. Okay. Your spiritual. What does your spiritual weapon look like there, Zach? Whose video keeps cutting out on us.
Yeah, sorry. I know. I have to close the stream to check the character sheet.
Oh, yeah, that would be annoying. All right. So the spiritual weapon misses, I'm afraid. I'm curious what shape you made it look like, though. Like, what is your spiritual what is the theater of the mind say this weapon looks like?
It just looks like a pipe, like a tobacco pipe, like a Sherlock tobacco.
Nice. Okay. So that was your bonus action. What are you doing with your action?
Oh, that's bonus action. Oh, cool. Okay.
That's funny.
Can I do with my action? I forgot that was bonus action.
You have a cantrip? I don't know if you have an attack cantrip.
Yeah, I do, but can I use an attack cantrip?
Yeah.
Then I
DC 13. What is it? Dex.
Minor point of order. I think the only way you can use a cantrip in the same turn, even if the first one is a bonus action, is if you quicken it.
No, that's so it's you. The only way you can cast more than one spell is if one's a spell and one's a cantrip. The cantrip's an action, and the casting of spiritual weapon is a bonus action. So it's one of those rare.
The casting. Oh, the casting is a bonus action.
Yes, not just the attack, but like the spell describes the spell spiritual weapon describes it as a bonus action spell that you can attack with on that round.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's why you see Bellarmine like throw out that and also like swing with his hammer on the same turn all the time.
Gotcha.
I'm afraid your Sacred Flame misses. You two.
Glory.
I don't really know what this thing can do about this. No, it's. I guess actually, can I roll to save on the levitate every turn?
But if it's a dexterity saving throw, and it's not on the ground, does it still have? I mean, I suppose it could matrix out of the way. I'm just thinking like, if someone's held aloft against their will, a dex saving throw seems like something they wouldn't be as proficient at.
I will say, for the purposes of the mechanics here, that it's restrained because you're basically stopping it from moving. And I believe, let's double check this.
That means disadvantage.
Yeah, a restrained creature's speed is 0, which is true because it can't really move. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls a disadvantage. The creature has a disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. All right. Yeah, we're gonna call this thing at. So with that, it does take 3. Oops. So I'll say it does take 3 radiant damage. Nope. Just trying to make that circle go away. Don't want it to do that. Fine. All right. So it takes 3 radiant. Very good. I'm gonna just. Oh, what the bloody heck! Yeah, that circle's now part of that token apparently. There we go. Can I roll to break this levitate? If you are the target, you can move up or down as per your move. Otherwise, you must use your action to move the target when the spell ends. Let's see. The target can move only by pushing. For climbing, you can change there for the duration. The spell can levitate. Huh. Yeah, there's no like continuous save with the spell. Wow. Well done, Jeff. All right. It can't do anything. Herlock, you're up.
First, I'm going to move between it and then I want to cast Ray of Frost.
Unfortunately, rolling a 2. Well, you have advantage on attack rolls. So
Oh, I do, don't I?
Yep. Can't help terrible rolls though. I can't. I mean, you can also just miss.
Yeah. In my cocky bravado to dart across the battlefield and get between it and its direction it was trying to go, I mistimed the Ray of Frost in this.
All right.
We'll
So
call it like a.
you've put me in an interesting predicament as a DM because I literally can't do anything for 10 minutes with this thing. So I mean, really, we can watch you two burn spell slots and slowly cantrip this thing to death, or we can just like say like, look, you've got this thing down. Like I can't effectively stop you at all at this point. Like there's no rolling of the dice I can do at this point to stop you guys from killing this thing, unless you cheat. So if you guys are cool with that, I'll just say like, coup de grace, congrats.
We just whack at
Well,
it.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can do. I would like to question it if I can. You know? Basically, I wanted to land a Ray of Frost on it as a little insurance, like, not even to kill it, but just to get the slow on it kind of thing, right? That was my thinking. I didn't know it wasn't going to be able to not move at all.
I mean, you have successfully levitated it, and apparently there's nothing I can do about that. So it's just it's an amusing turn of events.
I can throw a Scorching Ray or Magic Missile at it. Try to charm it at disadvantage. That doesn't make sense. There's not much I can do other than trying to talk to this thing.
Okay.
So I guess that's what I'm going to do. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to yell at Watson, "Go see this dead."
Yeah, there's a dead body on the ground. That's true, or a drowned body on the ground.
I attempt to recover him.
Okay. You
I don't have...
roll a. I mean, you have Cure Light Wounds, so at this point, it's soon enough. We'll just do a medicine check for me.
I can't even load into to roll 20 right
now. Okay. Well, so for the purposes of the theater of the mind, the half-orc cleric conducts rescue breaths, CPR, on the poor human priest, who then gags and starts coughing up ooze. So it's like this hacking cough. It's unpleasant. But you like try to cure but at the same time you're casting like Cure Light Wounds to make it. Oh, there you go. As an action, you present your holy symbol to evoke healing energy. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, we'll say that from a purely flavorful standpoint, like you get a few rescue breaths in, but then it listed your holy symbol to get the priest of Tyr back up. All of your attempts to communicate with the creature, Herlock, it doesn't seem to respond.
All right. Do I see that Sten gets up?
Yes.
And that we still got several minutes on this thing, right?
Yep.
On the levitate. All right, Sten. I know it's a crazy situation, but what the heck just happened?
As he's like catching his breath and like trying to get the ooze off of him. I have no idea what that thing is. Is that what killed Boren and Evelyn? I don't know what. This is horrifying.
It's definitely what killed Bourne. It's definitely what killed Posey. And it's definitely what killed Claude just now.
What?
This is what we've been able to uncover. Yes. We tracked this thing right from Claude's house. We talked our way in after finding out what had happened to Posey. You see, Posey was found in similar circumstances in her shack. Oh, by the way, I hope you aren't familiar with the Priests of Horror, but maybe you know them by reputation.
I'm still trying to catch his bearings. Kind of looking at the thing levitating, like, can we furls with the questions after you either get that thing out of town or dispose of it? Like, this is not okay.
Oh, don't worry. He's not going anywhere for another 6 minutes and 37 seconds.
Can you make sure it's dead?
That we can do. But while it's fresh on the mind, you got to tell us everything you know.
I can certainly talk to you after it's dead. I mean, I only know them by reputation. The Priests of Tor, as you said, they do revenge things. Beyond that, I thought it was all just stories to scare children.
Definitely not just stories, and their presence is definitely in this town. This creature might be the arbiter of their vengeance, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get anywhere with it. Now, you know what's going on in this town. Peter's gone. We all know that. Everyone knows that. The real question is, who gets the estate after Claude passes on, which is already now?
So at this point, you start gathering a crowd, by the way, like members of like the city like have heard this commotion, people screaming, yelling, so like now you're starting to get like a bunch of people from town coming out of the Howling Dog across the way, a few people sticking their heads out of the windows, a lot of just sort of like like haunts out screaming at like the side of the thing, like kill it, what is going, kill it. So you have a bit of a scene starting now.
Okay. I look at Vatsa and I go, is anyone, since he's standing right next to me, I kind of tug at his robe. Watson, you know the drill. You look for anyone in the crowd that's kind of not too surprised by all this. When the time is right, I'm going to blast this thing with a bunch of icicles. He's not going anywhere. Let's see what you can see.
Yeah, I will scan the crowd to see if anybody looks like they are.
Okay, make an insight check.
Yep, the rest. Can you roll it for me?
Oh yes, I can do that.
With guidance.
I can certainly do that with guidance. Watson rolls an insight. 22. With guidance gives him 26.
26.
Your scanning of the crowd, Watson, reveals a whole lot of very scared townsfolk that look confused. No one jumps out at you. If any, the only thing that you notice pretty much as you start finishing the crowd is Vincent, the paladin, comes sort of running out of the temple, and he's basically like tries to get up underneath the floating thing. He's like, "Bring it down so I can swing at it."
Oh, you mean like this? And I'm just going to spam Ray of Frost at it until it breaks into 1,000 little pieces and falls to the ground.
Okay. With about a minute left on your levitation, you successfully, shatter the thing to pieces.
Well, I guess we did do a lot of talking. I'd be like, that's a lot of hit points.
I mean, just roll like. Okay, to give you some sense. Roll roll damage on that spell 3 times. Okay, so that's
10.
10. So it takes you about half
Which
a
is-
minute.
Okay.
So it's a good like 30 seconds of just. Assuming you hit every time.
Oh, you know what? Little retcon. I think after the first one, where I realized this isn't going as fast, I'll bring him down so he can.
The paladin then proceeds to divine smite the thing. And the combination of you slowly freezing it and this dude's sword cutting through it smashes it into pieces. To which the whole town sort of like roars, hooray. And that is your successful destroying of a slithering tracker.
A Wrecker.
Yes, it is a very rare creature. Neither your
Cool.
neither your characters, unless they rolled really freaking high on that arcane check, nor the two of you. I don't think I've ever come across one of these things before. So with that, unless you two have very specific questions, I intend to reveal the story at this point. It is about 11:36. Okay.
Reveal.
So, essentially, what happened was Peter and Posey were married, as you both know. But Peter did have a falling out with Posey. It was true that Peter didn't start basically having eyes for Evelyn until after Posey left. But Posey had always. It was one of those situations where like Posey suspected something, and then just assumed that her suspicions were real after Peter and Evelyn came to be. But it was almost like Posey made Evelyn and Peter happen. So after as they found out that they became betrothed and they realized they were going to get married, Posey took it upon herself to take one of those lead blocks that you found and carve something the effect of, I want her heart broken. I want his heart broken to Peter. I want Peter's heart broken just like mine was broken. Etched that into a lead block. Buried it behind her house. So if you'd gone looking outside for a thing, you would have dug it up and found that. So that's when Borin, the dwarf, basically received this holy or unholy summons, and just with the plan, with his intent of being like, is a poetic justice, his plan on like basically making it look. His hope was to basically make it look like it was Evelyn. He as soon as the marriage was over, found Peter in his room, and with the knife that was on Posey's nightstand or like on Posey's plaque, like killed Peter and carved his heart out.
So he was the agent all along. He wasn't just here and then.
Well, so he's the one that was like the arbiter of vengeance essentially. So like Evelyn walks in on her brand new husband's body and like in desperation tries to put the heart back in and like just freaks out and like is basically trying to put the heart back in him. And gets completely covered in blood, and then Claude, Peter's dad and her now father-in-law, walks in, finds this, calls the paladins in. Basically, like they find her completely covered in blood. Vincent's convinced she did it because he believes the rumors that Posey's been starting about all this stuff, and then she gets thrown in prison. A whole separate thing that kind of went uninvestigated. So Borin completely got away with that murder ultimately. In an entirely separate but related event, a dude by the name of Aaron, Aeron, was asking the local smithy to donate him a pickaxe for him to be able to to do his job because he couldn't afford one. And the smithy got sick and tired of him asking and like insulted him in front of his wife. So he kind of got petty about it. Did his own like inscribing of a like stone, buried it, something to the effect of like, you should eat your words. So with that, Borin, answering another summons, the dwarf goes to the smithy and like attacks her in the middle of the night and cuts out her tongue. But a passerby notices this is happening. He gets arrested So that's the reason that like he happened to be thrown in the jail at the same time as Evelyn. So he's never met Evelyn, but he realizes that, but upon like talking with Evelyn inside the jail cell, he realizes that like the story that Posey had told him about like what. Oh, I forgot that he and Posey actually met at one point. Bourne and Posey had met at one point to discuss like what vengeance should be poetic. So he convinces Evelyn, like, hey, would you be willing to do some sort of ritual to get revenge on all these people? And without thinking, she agrees. So he cuts, like, while they're in the jail cell, he cuts a slit in his finger that you guys just didn't roll high enough to find, and like draws the circle of blood around her and does this ritual that turns her. She didn't ask questions. She just agreed to do this. So she,
That's where the liquid came from.
yeah. So he draws the circle around her, but because she now knows that that Borin, the dwarf, was actually responsible for her husband's death. Like this, he basically does this. He draws the circle around her. She lies down. He does this very rare ritual, essentially kills her and turns her into the spirit of vengeance, which then immediately turns on him, kills him, and then starts indiscriminately killing, or like basically going through a list of like creatures in her mind that were vengeance to her. So like she kills the guy that killed her husband, and then she goes and kills Posey, who summoned him in the first place. And then like basically at that point it starts just going down a list of like near associations because it's lost all intelligence at this point.
So,
It's just a spirit of
lack of
vengeance.
moisture is turned into this gooey, oozy spirit of vengeance right here.
Yeah, it's an ooze that's just void of
Um,
vengeance. So like it was this magical ritual that turned her into this thing that she sort of like she like basically agreed to be part of a sacrificial ritual, not understanding that it was going to kill her because she was just so pissed. So yeah,
how would we? I guess if we had gone to the smithy, we would have found out about Aaron, right?
well, Aaron was just sort of an extra person to like get more information. It was just basically another way to like find out that Borin was if you hadn't figured out he was a priest of horror through like if you hadn't found the tattoo, and you like it would have been another example of like lead blocks. Like you
Sure.
rolled really high in your religion, so you like knew that that's what he was. But if you hadn't gotten that piece, it was another avenue to figure that out, basically. Yeah, and the miner dude with his pickaxe was, yeah, it was just another possible avenue. But yeah, no. So, there was also you guys didn't search. There was one other. You hadn't searched the room itself for possible exits. So there was actually a drain in the jail cell that the ooze had escaped out of, basically.
Drain.
There was a possibility of like trying to track the sewers, but you guys didn't go down on that path, and that's fine. I mean, I tried. There was an opportunity. I tried to make an opportunity for you to like basically save Claude, but you decided to spend some time investigating after you like found this fresh body. You spent some time investigating the shack. So that was enough time. That was enough time for the thing to get to Claude, but you spent enough. You were quick enough about after Claude's, I think, to basically catch it before it would have killed Sten, and then it would have killed Vincent after that, and then after that, it would have just started killing people at random.
We didn't catch up.
Like it's literally like it's the module I have literally is like this is the list of people it's going to kill in order. Order of vengeance: Borin, Posey, Claude, Sten, Vincent, anyone else.
Anyone else, just random at that point.
Yeah, no, it's just it's not the most efficient killer, but it is not the most indiscriminate killer, but I mean it did its job initially. It killed the two people it wanted to at first. So that is your magnificent murder mystery of Mike's.
Lovely.
I hope it was enjoyable.
Bravo, sir.
I hope
That
you
was
had a good
fun.
time. And with that, we'll say goodnight
Well
to the
done.
internet, aka Jim.
Yeah.
Is Jim the only one watching?
Oh, he actually jumped into the chat at one point. Herlock Sholmes. Who's the and someone else did too. Of course, this doesn't say when. I looked at this like 20 minutes ago. Anyway, all right. Good night, internet. / recording of us later.